say this is a rather sad sight. I'm so grateful to you all for coming and being a sort of guinea pig like this, but the Palladium is meant to be full. It's a theatre that wants to love you, and it's sad. I think this will amply prove why social distancing in theatre really doesn't work. It's a misery for the performers, I know, and thank you, Beverley, for being so brave as to do this. And I don't think it's great for audiences. I mean, you know, if this was a comedy, one of the things that you like to hear is other people laugh, and if you're miles apart, it's not so good. But look, this is a bit of a start, and I know it's a sad sight, but one thing I would like to say is I do believe that Oliver Dowden is really trying to do his best for all of us. I know it's a difficult time, and he's obviously had an awful lot of other things on his plate as well. And I think what he's tried to negotiate for the arts is great, although we'd love to know what really that package means at some point. It might be quite helpful. I mean, it all came home to me the other day, thinking about that package. When I was working, would you believe, I was working at Abbey Road. I managed to get a socially distanced orchestra. Now that's an interesting experience when you haven't got all of the orchestra together and you have to do it in bits and pieces, but that's another thing. I ran into one of the country's greatest viola players, a wonderful, wonderful girl, who, I mean, is just extraordinary, and I've heard her play the Walton Viola Concerto. She's an extraordinary instrumentalist. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I'm stacking groceries." And I thought, really, I mean, this is where we are now, and we have to do something about it. And this is why we're here today, because I want to stress one thing, that the measures that we've taken at the Palladium are not about just getting the London Palladium open. It's nothing to do with that. It's about my passion for the theatre and for the live entertainment all over the country, all over the world. I mean, up there, I can see the seat that I sat in the first time I ever saw anything in live theatre, which was the Palladium pantomime when I was about 7. And it's one of those experiences that you cannot ever eradicate. It's one of the things that turned me on to theatre. I was lucky enough that very soon after that I fell in love with musicals and saw My Fair Lady and West Side Story, and they were live, they were theatre, and it absolutely, absolutely grabbed me. And theatre is my life, and it's the one thing that I really feel that I can do is to give something back to the profession that has been so good to me. So we brought in these measures from Korea. We're very lucky that when lockdown started here, the Phantom of the Opera in Seoul reopened, and they were very much ahead of all the measures in Korea, very, very far ahead of us. And we were able to adopt all of the measures that Korea had. Well, one of them, key couple of things that you may not be obvious, is that the theatre is fogged. This theatre was fogged yesterday, and the chemical that it's fogged with lasts and is effective against the virus for, I think it's about 4 weeks. But we would propose that we would do it every fortnight. Another thing which is extremely important is the quality of air in buildings. Now, here in the Palladium and in all my theatres, I think air quality is vitally important because I think it helps the audience experience. Apart from anything else, nobody wants to be stuffy. And the air here is sucked in from above the building. It is then filtered, and it is then expelled from the building in a better state than it was when it came in. So you're safer in here than you would be in Oxford Street. And who was it who said that's not difficult? I heard that. Anyway, so there we go. Now, afterwards, I'm not an expert in all of this. Experts are going to be around for anybody who wants, particularly from the arts press or anywhere, who want to ask questions about how it all works. But I want to just conclude quickly so Beverley can get going, and just say that, remind us all that theatre is not like the cinema. You can't just get a film and project it. When we are allowed to open again, it's going to take at least 4 to 6 weeks, even for a long-running show, to get itself back up again. Particularly now, as actors may have moved on or whatever, but it just will take that length of time. And the second thing, which I think is really important to remember, is that a new show will take much, much longer than that, take 9 months. And We've got to take all the decisions about whether to build scenery, we've got to get the shops open to do all of that. It's not something that can be just done like that. So what we badly, badly need is a date when we can reopen, a date that at least we can be given as a target. Now, of course, we all understand, everybody absolutely understands that if there's another spike in the virus, or God forbid the pandemic kind of rethinks itself or whatever, we absolutely know that at that point we can't reopen, but we do need a target date when we can reopen without social distancing, because we cannot work. It's not economically possible for a theatre to work with social distancing. A musical needs to take about 70% capacity just to break even, let alone repay its investment or anything on those lines, and a play a little less. But even so, we absolutely have to have our theatres able to be full again. And one final thing, in emphasising that, I think it is vital that you understand that this is not about my theatres, it is about getting all venues where live entertainment can take place open. I think we must make a plea for the regions and the pantomimes. I know from Michael Harrison, who's the great pantomime producer in Britain, that if he doesn't know by August the 1st that the pantomimes can open without social distancing, that he cannot proceed. And that means that the lifeblood, the thing that the regional theatres depend on, will just evaporate and go, and this cannot be allowed. We must get the regional theatres open. So I would make one plea to Boris and just say, give us a date, mate.